a light heavyweight bout that opened the main card of this UFC fight night. Khalil Rountree Jr. defeated Dustin Jacoby by a split decision once again. 29-28 on two scorecards. Jacoby getting his own 29-28. Mark, what was your impression of my guy, Khalil Rountree, getting the dub?
I loved watching this fight. This was exactly what I hoped that it would be. I love getting to see two strikers who are at that high of a level trying to out-chess each other in there, and this was exactly that. This thing was tight throughout. Round one, I really think, was a toss-up.
Thank you.
Live, I wasn't sure. Gun to my head on the rewatch, I still was almost dead even. If I had to make a call, I think I might edge it for Jacoby on the volume. But it's a close round, inarguably. Round two was the only clear round of the fight. I thought that was clearly a Jacoby round.
Yes.
He upped the pace. He focused on the smaller shots. In the beginning, they were kind of exchanging more. In that round, he did what I expected him to do, which was more focus on that volume, pick away at Khalil, force Khalil to have to land the big shot to change the fight. And he was just tapping away, adding up, and Jacoby did a really good job to control round two. Kept Khalil off balance. Toward the end of that round is when Khalil kind of looked like he was starting to figure out how to deal with that volume attack coming at him. And then he did better in round three, which again was very close. However, I still think I edged round three to Jacoby. So they were real close rounds. There were big shots from Khalil in that round. I just thought he still kind of got outlanded too much. The calf kicks from Jacoby were a big factor. And he was just landing a lot. So it's a tough loss for Jacoby. But I'm not going to call it a robbery because I think an argument exists for scoring round 1 and 3 for Khalil because I thought they were both that close of rounds. So I would have given it to Jacoby. I don't hate Khalil getting the decision in that fight. He dug deep. He landed some big shots to stick in the judges' minds, and he stole it. So he marches on. The man finally breaks through with a big win.
Dude, you stole my thunder. I was just about to make a joke and say, so you're saying that you think Jacoby was robbed? Because we've been over so many times, what a robbery is and is not. Yes. Omar, who do you think won the fight?
So this was also a hill I was not going to die on. I will also say I spent a lot more time entertained by the quality of the Muay Thai in this fight than I think I was really sitting down trying to score the fight. I loved this fight, though. From a technical standpoint, I was rewinding the fight because there were things that I was looking at that were like, man, I'm taking this. I'm taking this. I'm taking this too for myself. There's one that I can't get out of my head at all. That was so sick was Khalil was kicked the leg of Jacoby, kind of set up a kick leg, and then switched his stance. So essentially faked the leg kick, switched his stance to come in and threw a hook instead of a kick. And it landed beautifully. And it just setting things up like that. That's the stuff that I love watching people figure that stuff out and play that game. Long story short, I edged it out to Khalil. More so for the first round. I thought the third round for me was a little bit clearer for Khalil than it was for Jacoby personally. But the first round I thought was a toss-up. If you told me Jacoby won the first round, I'm not going to argue with you. Now, the thing that gets me messed up is when I see fights like this, in my head I'm like, okay, I wonder how people saw it. And if I go to MMA decisions, there are, I don't know how many, 300 plus scorecards. 90% of these people have Jacoby winning the first round. That makes me feel like a crazy person. Like that we didn't watch the same fight. But regardless, I'm okay with the Khalil Rountree win. I would have been okay with a Jacoby win. I thought it was a very close fight. Like Mark said, I thought 1 and 3 were very close. 2 was a very clear win. I thought 3 was a bit clearer than 1 as far as who won that round, and I thought Khalil won that round. But 1 is really the disputing factor here, and I personally had Khalil winning. The one thing I will say is I don't like from Khalil are the winging hooks. The man needs to tighten it up. He wastes a lot of energy. You could see he was borderline gassed by the middle of the second round because of all the wasted energy that he has throwing hooks and shots that don't land, that are literally taking him off balance because of how hard he's throwing them and not landing them. I think if he tightens that part of his game up, he's going to be a disgusting individual to try to beat. Other than that, though, I love the way the kid fights. I think he's super exciting, and Jacoby as well.
Yeah, man. Well, Rountree, the 32-year-old California native, has now won 3 straight, improving his pro record to 11-5 with 1 no contest. Mark, exciting times for Khalil Rountree. If you were the matchmaker of the UFC, who would you match him up against next?
So I brought this up last week, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm Googling the age of Khalil because I was curious. He's 32.
He's 32, yeah.
Sorry, did you say that already?
Just said that.
But yeah, I said it last week. I'm going to stick with it. Despite the, arguably controversial result, I'm going to give him Volkan Ozdemir. I think that Khalil has had a career of kind of blowing opportunities right after looking really good, and he's kind of finally on his best run right now. He just got a big win, and I think it's time to say, you know what? Let's put him in there with a top 10 guy and see what happens. And, hey, if he gets turned back, then Khalil's probably not ever going to really break through. But maybe he does, and I think he's earned that chance.
Ooh, poor Vulcan, man. It's a good fight. That's a great fight. Omar, what do you think? Any other names that you throw out there for Rountree's next opponent?
I do. I just see he did. So I want yes, I do. And I thought I had this in my head. I know it hasn't been super long, but I feel like the trajectories of their careers have taken such a different turn, and yet one is still ranked higher above the other. Although I think their trajectories are not going in the same direction. So I want to see the rematch between Rountree and Ion Cutelaba. I think this is a perfect time to have it. I think Ion is in a slump right now. And I think this is a perfect time for Khalil to capitalize on his momentum.
How did that fight end?
Khalil got knocked out by elbow.
Yep. Yeah, that one sucked.
Yeah. Do we want to match up and talk about Mr. Jacoby?
Yeah, I'll give him 1. I will put him across from Jimmy Crute. He did it this way. Jacoby doesn't fall far off of an arguable loss, and gets back in there with Crute, who's well ranked as well. Gives one of them a chance to be right back in the mix.
Yeah, I mean at this point, Jacoby, he's 34. His record's 18-6, which is nice. And this loss snapped a 4-fight win streak for him, and it was his first loss in the UFC, and his first loss since 2015, which came against John Salter under the Bellator banner. So impressive stuff from Jacoby overall, and pretty much anybody he matches up with next, I would expect him to get back in the win column very soon because he's a pretty talented light heavyweight. Omar, any other names?
Agreed.
For
Jacoby? It is his second run in the UFC, just to clarify
right.
that. He has lost on his prior UFC stint.
Thank you.
For Jacoby, I was going to give him Alonzo Menafield. I think that'd be an interesting matchup. A little bit different than the fight I think we saw this past weekend, as far as 2 guys willing to stang and bang for 3 rounds without having to worry about the other guy taking you down or anything. But Menafield's hands have just looked really good as of late, and it'd be an interesting test to see where he's at.
Yeah, man. Love it. Love it.